All right, it's live.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا ونبينا أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد وآله الطاهرين اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرجهم. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. Brothers and sisters, inshallah you're doing well and تقبل الله أعمالكم. Today we will be continuing the khutbah of Al-Muttaqin by Imam Ali alayhi salam that we've been covering for the past maybe 4 sessions now. We have today and tomorrow, inshallah, so that we can, inshallah, finish as much as we can of this khutbah. As I said before, we probably won't be able to finish all of it, but we will be touching on the main points of this khutbah, which I find personally, I find very, very inspirational and actually life-changing, really. Some parts of it are very life-changing for a person if a person really reflects and ponders over the content of the khutbah. Now, the Imam, if yesterday what we left off on was where the Imam, he talks about how these individuals, what their night looks like. What are they doing in the nighttime? What they're doing in the nighttime is that they safuna aqdamahum, they're standing in prayer and they are reciting the verses of the Quran at the right pace, reflecting on the Quran, listening to the Quran, taking heed from what the Quran tells them, and to the point as if that they can hear the sounds of the hellfire. And this, as I said before, this is a very high rank that a person can reach. That it's as if they see Jahannam. It's as if they're seeing Jannah, although that's not happening um, in reality. And they haven't really gone to Jannah or Jahannam yet. Of course, inshallah, they don't go to Jahannam, but all in all, the way they act is as if they're seeing these two. Now, the Imam goes on after he finishes the part about how they pay attention to the Quran they recite. They're also doing salat and they're in salat, right? فَهُمْ حَانُونَ عَلَىٰ أَوْسَاطِهِم, he says. These muttaqun, these people who have piety, and their piety slowly allows their iman to build up to the point that their nights are not normal nights anymore, their days are not normal days anymore. It says here, فَهُمْ حَانُونَ عَلَىٰ أَوْسَاطِهِم. So, in the nighttime, they are bending down from their backs. In other words, their backs are bent. In ruku', it seems it's saying, or probably clearly saying, مُفْتَرِشُونَ لِجِبَاهِهِمْ وَأَكُفِّهِمْ وَرُكَبِهِمْ وَأَطْرَافِ أَقْدَامِهِمْ. And also they're doing iftirash. They are muftarish. Muftarish comes from farsh, when you spread something out over the ground, like rugs are spread out over the ground. In Farsi, rug is referred to as farsh, or sometimes firash in Arabic. Yes, and so you spread these on the ground, right? That has been used here to describe these individuals. That they, when they're praying, yes, it reaches a point where muftarishuna lijibahihim. They are spread out on the ground, putting their foreheads on the ground. And also their akuf. Akuf is the plural of kaf, which means palms of the hands, and their knees, and their toes, the tip of their toes. All of this they're doing, yes, when they're praying. So this is what their night looks like. يَطْلُبُونَ إِلَى اللَّهِ تَعَالَى فِي فَكَاكِ رِقَابِهِم. Now, I want you to remember that this is not talking about the month of Ramadan. This is speaking in general. This is how they are throughout the year. I don't know, brothers and sisters. I think it's a miracle here, really, that something like this is happening by a normal, non-ma'soom individual. How is it possible that a person throughout the year, this is what their nights look like, this is what their days, we'll get to their days, what their days look like. All right, so they're doing all of this out for what purpose? What's their reason? They are asking Allah to free their necks of what? Of the hellfire. That's what they're asking for. And someone might ask, but these people we know are destined for Jannah and they're going to end up in Jannah. You know, why are they so worried? Well, they have such a ma'rifah and profound cognition and understanding of Jahannam that even if they feel that they're not going to go there, well, first of all, they're worried because who's guaranteed the future? But even if, let's just assume, even if, let's take the Ma'sumin, for example. Let's assume that they know they're not going to Jahannam. Everyone knows they're never going to go to Jahannam. Yet, the greatness of the Day of Judgment, the greatness of the hellfire itself is enough to make them so fearful and scared that they will still ask Allah to protect them from the hellfire. It's very interesting. They say Imam al-Hasan alayhi salam, when he was passing away, when he was on his deathbed, they could tell that he's upset, he's weeping. They say, why are you weeping? Because like Imam al-Hasan has done Hajj barefoot 25 times, they say. They say he gave his wealth in the way of Allah, all of it, twice. Right? No, that's not for you and I, brothers and sisters. A person like Imam al-Hasan alayhi salam will do something like that. But all in all, this is the individual he is, and yet he is weeping on his deathbed. And so they asked him this, like, why are you weeping? You have nothing to worry about. And so the Imam, he says that I weep for two things. One of them, he mentions, is this, that, the greatness and the horror of that day, of, where I'm headed. In other words, I won't be affected by it, yeah, but like, it's a great phenomenon that deserves one to be fearful of it and so scared of it that they're still weeping when they're leaving this dunya. Anyway, the point being that these muttaqeen, they might be the type of people that are going to go to Jannah and are going to end up in Jannah probably, but they're still asking Allah for this. Why? Because it's not about them, it's about the greatness of the Jahannam that they're so afraid of. And so still they ask Allah for that. And so they're in sajda for that. I mean, let me give you a story here. A quick story. Imam Ali alayhi salam, it is said that one time he came to his servant that was out in the fields or outside doing work. Imam Ali comes to him. He asks him, do we have any food? And so this servant says, we do, but not a food that is befitting of the Khalifa of the Muslimin. And so, in my words, Ali ibn Abi Talib says, like, whatever, man, like, this talk doesn't apply to me. I don't care about these things. Do we have anything? He's like, yeah, we have like this humble, like, squash dish or squash meal that you can have, made out of squash. So Imam Ali just says, bring that for me, and he has it. And he has it. And so what happens is, after he has that meal, the Imam starts working hard, digging a well. He digs a well. As he's digging this well and really shoveling away at it and going deeper and deeper, the report says that Imam Ali jumped out of the well. Before this, it says he came out once, like he was very, very sweaty. If I'm not mistaken, if I'm getting it right, I'm saying this off of the top of my head right now. Anyway, the Imam had worked so hard, he was really sweaty and drenched in sweat. He jumps out of the well once. Because why? He had hit water, he had reached water, and this water started gushing out, and so the Imam had to jump out of the well. But this is like big money, brothers and sisters. A well in those times, in that region, brothers and sisters, it is the equivalent of kind of like having an oil field today. Like, think about it, you own an oil field. How rich are you going to be? Anyway, the Imam, he has dug this well and he's reached water. What does he do? He asks for a pen and paper right away. And so he writes that I am dedicating this well to the poor people of Medina. And he writes this in the end. He says, I'm doing this so that I can protect my face from the hellfire on the Day of Judgment. Brothers and sisters, this is the point I want to make by sharing this story with you. Ali ibn Abi Talib is not a person that we know will end up, or there's a chance of him, God forbid, ending up anywhere close to Jahannam, right? So why is he saying this then? Yes? This is how the Ma'sumin were. Even though a Ma'sum, we believe, mainstream Shi'ism will believe that a Ma'sum is good to go. Yeah? And they will go to Jannah for sure. At the end of the day, the Imams are still doing this. So, let alone a righteous, pious individual who's not even a Ma'sum. Of course, they'll be in sajda. Of course, they'll be asking Allah to be freed from the hellfire and so on. And look, this what Imam Ali says in the khutbah actually echoes exactly what some verses of the Quran say. Surah Furqan 64 and 65. It says, وَالَّذِينَ يَبِيتُونَ لِرَبِّهِمْ سُجَّدًا وَقِيَامًا. The ones who stay awake at night for their Lord while they're in sajda and while they're standing. وَالَّذِينَ يَقُولُونَ رَبَّنَا اصْرِفْ عَنَّا عَذَابَ جَهَنَّمَ إِنَّ عَذَابَهَا كَانَ غَرَامًا إِنَّهَا سَاءَتْ مُسْتَقَرًّا وَمُقَامًا. The ones who say that, "Oh, our Lord, repel from us the punishment of the hellfire." Because why? Because verily the punishment of the hellfire is something that when you have it, you're at loss. You in bad shape. All right? So when Imam Ali says something like that in his khutbah, the Quran is also echoing the same thing, or Imam Ali is actually echoing what is in the Quran. So that's what their nights look like, brothers and sisters. Once again, this is not the nights of Ramadan. This is the nights throughout the year. And so, yeah, the sky is the limit when it comes to spiritual wayfaring and spiritual growth. All right, so here now it says, وَأَمَّا النَّهَارِ وَأَمَّا النَّهَارِ. As for the day, what does their day look like? These muttaqeen. What's going on in their day? How do they act in the day? What's their behavior like in the day? And so on. It says, وَأَمَّا النَّهَارِ فَحُلَمَاءُ عُلَمَاء أَبْرَارٌ أَتْقِيَاء. You sense that the tune there too. It says, as for their day, they are Halim and Alim, or Alim, whatever the plural or singular of ulama you want to take. They are Halim. What does Halim mean? Now I know, it's getting closer to iftar time, and so now I'm talking about being Halim. Halim, not the food Halim, but what we're talking about here is a person who has Hilm. So they are Halim individuals. They have Hilm. What does that mean? Well, they're patient, some will say. Well, if they're patient, then why did the Imam say Hulama? Why didn't he just say like Subara or Sabirun? They are patient. What is the difference between Sabr and Hilm? So I looked around a little bit, and what I found by Ayatollah Jawadi Amuli is that he says that the difference between Hilm and Sabr can be understood from the opposite of each of these terms. On one hand, you have Sabr. Yes? Sabr, the opposite of it is to wail and be in grief and show your grief and things like that, cry and all that. So sometimes you are hurt, you have been affected emotionally. Yeah? And you hold back, you bottle it up, you get angry, you bottle it up. Yeah? Something bad happens, you want to scream and wail and tear your shirt up, but no, you bottle it up. You have sabr. So you have been affected greatly, but you have sabr, right? But on the other hand, you have hilm. Ayatollah Jawadi says hilm is the opposite of anger and wrath. What does that mean? That means either sometimes you get angry with something, or you have hilm, and that means you don't get too angry about something. So there are three types of people. I want you to pay close attention. There are three types of people here. Some, when something happens that can make you angry, they get angry for sure. And not only do they get angry, but they don't even exercise any patience, and they just do whatever they want. They become rage monsters. Yeah? When we seek refuge in Allah from such a thing. Anger is one of those things that can cause one to get into a lot of trouble. Now, so that's one set of people. One group of people get angry and also don't exercise any sabr and patience, and they do whatever extinguishes the fire of anger in them. Another group of people get angry, get very upset, and want to wail even, yet they hold back and they don't do anything about it. They don't say anything. Yes? They have sabr, in other words. That's a second group. There's a third group that whatever happened for those two first groups, if it happens for them, do they even get angry to begin with? It says no. These are the people who are not sabur. These people are halim. They have hilm. So, you look it up, you'll find an equivalent for sabr, they'll say patience. And then the equivalent for hilm is forbearance. But like these things don't get to the point. The way Ayatollah Jawadi here is getting to the point. Now, some might ask, which one is higher? I think it's obvious which one is higher. Sometimes a person has reached a point where their iman is so strong now, they feel the presence of Allah so much now that they don't get affected that much by things anymore. Versus those who their iman is a little weak. As a result, they get affected tremendously, very easily. Now, either they show patience or not, that's a different story. But it's irrelevant right now because we are not comparing those two types of people, the one who can control versus the ones who can't control. We're not comparing those right now. We're comparing the ones who get angry, who get affected, and don't get too affected. That's what we're looking at right now. One has hilm, one has sabr. Yes? You want to know which one is higher? I think it's obvious which one is higher. The ones who are not affected, they have a high, solid iman. That doesn't allow them to get affected. And what's interesting is, when you look in the Quran, I mean, the last time I looked, unless my search was not comprehensive, but when I searched using the software that we have, you don't find anywhere in the Quran where Allah is referred to as sabur. Not as much as I've looked. But a quick search will show you that Halim is used for Allah. So this is another reason to show how Allah is how Hilm, is higher than Sabr. I'm just trying to search Sabur in the Quran. We don't even have the word. It says here we don't even have the word Sabur. Let me check just to make sure. Sabirun. Yeah, it doesn't look like we even have the word Sabur in the Quran. Okay, so Allah is not referred to as Sabur, but He's referred to as Halim for sure. I've checked it before and I'm sure about that. All right, so I think it's very obvious then. Hilm is higher than Sabr. Hilm means you're not affected because Allah doesn't get affected. When we say Allah is angry, doesn't mean that He's been affected negatively in a way that there's a change within His essence, that when we call that change anger, the way we have with human beings. No, with Allah, even if we say He's angry, even if we say He has wrath, it means, what it really means is that not that His mood has changed or anything. It means that when He sends punishment our way, for example, that is a sign of anger. That's what angry people will do. They'll send punishment. So Allah sending punishment, we derive this quality of, His anger, His wrath. But in reality, it's not that. It's just that we are getting what we deserve, or He wants to shake us and He wants what's better for us, and so on and so forth. There are a lot of different explanations here. I think all of you are familiar with. Inshallah, you're familiar with that, with these explanations. Okay, so having said that, the Imam in the khutbah, he says, as for their day, these muttaqun are hulama. They have hilm. And they are ulama. They're knowledgeable people. I want to say this, you cannot have hilm if you don't have proper Islamic knowledge. I personally think. There might be exceptions to this rule, but usually The ones who are angry people are people who might not be people of knowledge, real knowledge, I'm talking. Yes? And so this doesn't mean that even knowledgeable people don't get angry, or sometimes scholars don't make, the wrong choices or might get angry and so on. But all in all, what I'm saying is that sometimes even you're not a sheikh or a scholar, but you have knowledge of the deen. You have knowledge of the Quran that you acted upon. As a result of that, you become a halim individual. Here the Imam says these people, whether they're scholars or not scholars, scholar in the narrower sense of the term, the ones who might wear this outfit. It doesn't matter if that's what it is or not. But they have knowledge of the deen. Ulama. They have knowledge. Abrarun atqiya. They are righteous individuals, abrar. Righteous individuals who do good and who do make sure they do good. They do good deeds. And atqiya, they have taqwa. If you want your good deeds to be accepted, brothers and sisters, and have 100% of the benefits of the good acts, then you have to make sure you have taqwa next to it. So the Imam here also brings taqwa right next to abrar, which comes from bir, doing good deeds and righteousness. Yes, bir, if you want your bir to work, if you want your bir to have the desired effect that it's supposed to have on your iman and solidification of your iman, then you have to have taqwa next to it. You can't be sinning and then think your mustahabbat are going to be accepted. No. For the mustahabbat to be accepted, a person must try their best to do what they can in order not to sin and disobey God. So this is what their day looks like. Is there anything else? Oh yeah, there's a lot more, brothers and sisters. Let's continue. It says قَدْ بَرَاهُمُ الْخَوْفُ بَرْيَ الْقِدَاحِ. If you want to shoot an arrow and you want it to hit the target, what do? You sharpen it, and the wooden part of the arrow, the stick, you make sure that it's nice and thin and dynamic, right? So that it can, when you let it go off of the bow and you shoot it, it goes where you want it to go and hits the bullseye. Now here it says that these individuals, they have a fear. That fear, and I'll explain what that fear and concern is. That fear and concern has sharpened them and thinned them like an arrow that's going to hit the target. Yes? That's what a person who has fear is going to be like. But what kind of fear are we talking about here? It seems that what the Imam means is they have a fear that they know that they have responsibilities that they have to live up to. These people know that Allah is watching them and wants to see if they fulfill His duties or not. Yes, and fulfill His commands or not. And so this fear that they have, that, oh my God, I have individual responsibilities, I have social responsibilities, I have family-related responsibilities. Let me make sure that I do exactly what I've got to do. You see, brothers and sisters, it's not about just ibadah. We have a lot more responsibilities as well. The ibadah has to be there, the rest has to be there too. And so this fear that, oh my God, what if I'm not doing exactly what God wants? This keeps them on their toes. And they're very diligent to make sure that they're doing what they need to do throughout the day. This makes them like an arrow that's been sharpened, that's been thinned down, and is in the right proportions to hit the bullseye and get done what needs to be done. ينظر إليهم الناظر فيحسبهم مرضى وما بالقوم من مرض. Okay, so these people, lots of times it affects them physically. The fact that they have this fear and they're trying their best to do what Allah wants them to do. This will water them down. Yes? And will, make them skinny, thin people. You will look at them sometimes, you'll feel like, man, this guy is sick or something. The Imam says this. يحسبه الناظر ينظر إليهم الناظر فيحسبهم مرضى. When these people look at them, they feel like this person is sick. Must be ailing from something. وَمَا بِالْقَوْمِ مِنْ مَرَضٍ. But the reality is, Imam Ali says, the reality is that these people aren't sick. There's nothing wrong with them. Yes, it's a fear that they have. that makes them so efficient and so dynamic that they hit the bullseye like an arrow. An arrow that's been properly trimmed and properly shaved and properly sharpened. Okay? This part now is I really like this part a lot. This one line I really like, and I don't know I don't know how many people who speak Farsi are watching right now, but I'll use an example in Farsi as well. It says, the Imam says, وَيَقُولُ لَقَدْ خُولِتُ. This person who's looking at them and says, they must be sick, but then the Imam says, no, they're not sick. The Imam also says what else they think to themselves, or they might say. This person who sees this muttaqi individual, say, لَقَدْ خُولِتُ. In Farsi we say, قَاتِي karde. That's how I understand this line. خُولِتُ comes from khalid, from khalata. Khalata in Arabic means to mix something up. So when it says laqad khulitu, it means that the Imam says that they look at them and they're like, this person's kind of like lost it. This person's like mixed up. Something's mixed up in their mind. Something's, in their mind. In Farsi, I think the best way to say it is qati kardan. You know what the Imam says here? In the previous sentence, the Imam said they think they're sick, but they're not sick. Here the Imam adds to it, but it says it a little differently. It's so cool. I mean, at least for me, it's pretty cool. Here the Imam says, as a response to those who say, yeah, they've lost it. Yeah, there's a mixture, something's mixing up in their mind. It says, yes, something great has mixed them up. Something great has mixed them up. And what is that thing? Of course, we all know who he's talking about. He's talking about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah is so great in their eyes and in their hearts that that's all they're thinking about now. And they're just like, they're mixed up. You feel like there's a problem with this person. I'll give an example that some might be able to relate to and understand where it's coming from. Think about it like this: like someone really falls in love with somebody else and is always thinking about that person they're in love with. Yeah, they don't eat properly anymore. When they're outside, you talk to them, they're not even paying attention to you anymore. You're like, what's wrong with you? What's got you all mixed up upstairs? What's got you all messed up? Something great has messed them up in their eyes, and that's their beloved. Here, the Imam says, these people, they look like they're all messed up now. Yes, something has messed them up, the Imam says. And that's one thing that has messed them up is amrun azim, is a great thing. It's not something insignificant. It's Allah. So yeah, you're right. Now they say in the past, and I think this was the students of either Allama Qadi or Mullah Hussein Quli Hamadani. Whoever it was, both of these individuals are great individuals. Yes, I remember reading more than once that when people would leave the akhlaq / irfan sessions of these individuals and they would walk out, you could tell that it's not as if they're not feeling right. It's as if, now I don't like to use this word, it's as if they're intoxicated even. And people would see them, they'd say, yeah, this person just walked out of this akhlaq class. Yeah, what happens in those akhlaq classes? Well, they're speaking of Allah so much that, and so deep that the attendees are just like so baffled and so in another world. So when they walk out, it's as if they're dizzy, And the Imam says, yes, they are messed up. Allah has messed them up. The thought of Allah has messed them up in a good way. Not in a bad way, of course, in a good way. Yes. لا يرضون من أعمالهم القليل ولا يستكثرون الكثير. Another very, very important line. He says, they are not satisfied with the little bit that they have. If they have a little bit of amal and worship and whatever it is, they are not happy with that. They will go and do more, in other words. I mean, when we were kids growing up, I don't know how many of you know him. There's an ex-NBA player by the name of Mahmoud Abdul Rauf. Mahmoud Abdul Rauf, I don't think he remembers me. I was a kid. He would come to our school a lot when I was in Maryland. We used to go to an Islamic school. He would come there because he was also Muslim. He had embraced Islam a few years before. And so he would come to our school. And we would hang out with him even. It was so cool to actually be with an NBA player. And by the way, this NBA player was different than a lot of the other NBA players out there. He was a man of principle. And so back then in the 90s, he wouldn't stand up for the national anthem, and people were very upset. And he was saying that I feel this flag symbolizes all of these problems that we're having today in the world. Yeah. And so if today a person like Colin Kaepernick, boycotts the NFL, for example, doesn't play or doesn't get chosen, picked to play, or is traded away, what he does is that he doesn't put his principles aside and try to stay in the NFL. He leaves the NFL. Yeah. These people are doing this today. The first one to do it was a person like Mahmoud Abdul Rauf in the past. Anyway, that was on the side. What I want to get to is this. What I want to get to is that this Mahmoud Abdul Rauf would tell us that he would shoot free throws, like 100 free throws before leaving the basketball court when he was younger. And he wouldn't allow himself to leave until he would hit, I don't know, 10 or 100. I think he would say 100. He would hit 100. Yeah, it was 100, he would say. He would hit 100, because even 10 I can hit in a row. 100 free throws back to back. And if he would miss the 99th shot or the 100th shot, that meant he would start all over again. Always, putting in the work to be a professional athlete. Okay? This Mahmoud al-Rauf, he does this. He's not happy with a little bit of work. He puts in as much work as he can. Here, naturally, that's just an example of people working for their dunya. Yes, I love personally Mahmoud al-Rauf. He's wonderful. But yeah, the work that he was putting in was for his craft in this life. Now, what if what you're working for is the afterlife? Oh my God, it should be multifold how much effort you put in. And so if you put a little bit of effort in, you're not happy with it. If you're one of those people who knows what's to come, knows what the priorities are. And so here the Imam says, لا يرضون من أعمالهم القليل. They're not happy with the little amount that they do. If they do a little bit of work, a little bit of ibad, they're not happy. Sometimes they might do a lot. Are they happy then? Question. So here the Imam is saying, once again, let me repeat that. They're not happy with the little bit that they might do. So sometimes they're doing little, they're not happy with it. Question. What if they do a lot? Are they happy? They're going to be content, right? It says, وَلَا يَسْتَكْثِرُونَ الْكَثِيرَ. And even when they do a lot, when they look at it, they're like, I don't know if that was enough or not. So for them, in their eyes, even that's a little bit. And if in their eyes it's a little, then once again, they're dissatisfied. You see, these NBA players were like this for their dunya. A person like Kobe Bryant, yeah, his work ethic is really something to be inspired, take inspiration from, because he was working maybe the hardest out of all the players of his time, That's how they're working for their dunya. Yeah, and then this is how the Muslims and the Shia work for their akhirah. No, Imam Ali says, even when they do a lot, they still feel that it's little. And since they still feel it's little, I'm going to add this, then they're dissatisfied with that as well. فَهُمْ لِأَنفُسِهِمْ مُتَّهِمُونَ وَمِنْ أَعْمَالِهِمْ مُشْفِقُونَ. Beautiful. Beautiful. They point the finger of blame always to themselves as a result. Look, brothers and sisters, when infinity, yes, is the maximum of something, that means you can go as much as you want. There's still room for more. That's what Allah has brought us here for. There is room for more always. We just need to capitalize on it. Allah has given us that opportunity, right? So if I am doing a lot of good, still I will feel like I haven't made it, and I will point the finger to myself. This is not a person who's lost hope. This is a person who wants to make the most out of their life here. That's what their life will look like. فَهُمْ لِأَنفُسِهِمْ مُتَّهِمُونَ وَمِنْ أَعْمَالِهِمْ مُشْفِقُونَ. They are also, this is a step forward now. Before, it said that they're not happy with the little that they do. Here it says Not only that, they're afraid of what they do. The good acts, not the bad acts, the good acts. The context we're in is all talking about good things right now. These people are so worried, they are not even happy with they don't feel safe from their actions. They fear their actions. It's very interesting. And that's why you will read stories like this where there are some ulama and some urafa who would do istighfar after their salat was over. They felt like the salat, they weren't paying as much attention as they were supposed to in their salat. And they might do istighfar from that even. Like, oh Allah, forgive me for the deficient salat that I did. Yeah, we have du'as like that for after salat. Allahumma inna hadhihi salati sallaytuha. And then it goes on and says, Allahumma in kana fiha khalalun aw naqsun min ruku'iha aw sujudiha. Oh Allah, if there's any deficiency in this salat, then don't hold me responsible for it. Don't hold me accountable for it. And accept it from me, and things like that are in these du'as. Right? So these people, when they do istighfar, it's something like these du'as that at the end of the day, I didn't do what I was exactly supposed to do, and so I should be upset about that, and I should be worried about that. Yeah, there's a hadith I really like as well that usually I will cite, and that is the famous hadith by Imam al-Kadhim alayhi salam in Usul al-Kafi, where he says, "Ya bunayya alayka bil jidd." Be serious and hardworking. And it seems when it comes to Allah's satisfaction, he's talking about. All right, what do you mean, oh Imam al-Kadhim? لا تخرجن نفسك من حد التقصير في عبادة الله عز وجل وطاعته فإن الله لا يعبد حق عبادته. The Imam tells his son, he says, don't you ever feel like you've done enough. Always feel like you're falling short, and it's your fault that you're falling short of what you have to do when it comes to Allah's satisfaction. Once again, this doesn't mean Allah is mean. It doesn't mean Allah's going to go hard on us for no reason. No, 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 no. We want to get the most out of this life. And so as a result, this is the culture that they're instilling in us. That always put the finger of blame on yourself, point it to yourself, always feel like you can do more. And don't rely on your actions. Rely on Allah. Do as much good as you can, rely on Allah though. That's the culture they're trying to get to us. Yes. And I'll end with these couple lines. إِذَا زُكِّيَ أَحَدٌ مِّنْهُمْ. Okay, so these people who are not giving themselves benefit of the doubt, they're kind of like cynical when it comes to themselves, right? The Imam ends with this, إِذَا زُكِّيَ أَحَدٌ مِّنْهُمْ خَافَ مِمَّا يُقَالُ لَهُ. When you praise this person in front of them, and you tell them that, oh, what wonderful people you are. Yes, these things. What do they say? They're fearful when you say that about them. They get worried. When would you get worried? Yes? When would you get worried if someone was praising you in front of others, for example? You would get worried because those others know what you're all about throughout the day. Yeah? And so they know the mistakes you make, but this person who's praising you doesn't know those mistakes, and so that's why they're praising you. So you get worried in their presence, and in the presence of people who know what you're all really about. Here, it's as if Allah is watching, Allah is present, and in His presence, others are praising us. I get fearful, I get worried. Why? Because Allah really knows what I'm all about. He knows what I'm really all about, and as a result, when others are praising me, and I know Allah is hearing this and watching this, I get I'm not very comfortable. And that's why it says, Nahj al-Balagha says, as a result, these people say to themselves or do dua to Allah that أَنَا أَعْلَمُ بِالنَّفْسِ مِنْ غَيْرِي وَرَبِّي أَعْلَمُ بِي مِنِّي بِنَفْسِي. Or it seems like the hadith is saying that this person responds to the one praising him with these lines, with these words. That, trust me, I know myself better than anyone other than myself. Number one. Number two, and my Lord knows me better than myself even. In other words, when you're praising me, how do you know that I am worthy of this praise? Just because you see me at a very minimal amount and level? No. Do we have to like talk bad about ourselves in front of others? Of course not. That's not something that the Ahlul Bayt encourage and promote either, right? But at the same time, when they're saying that, you say thank you, brother. But I know what I'm all about myself. Don't worry about it. But now they do a dua as well. Now the dua is interesting to show what kind of perspective they have. The dua is this. It says that they will do dua to Allah. They say, Allahumma la tu'akhidhni bima yaqulun. Don't hold me accountable, yes, for what they're saying about me. In other words, if they're praising me, don't necessarily expose me. Don't necessarily get upset with me. Once again, let's go back to that example I gave you. You're in the presence of 2 or 3 people that you beat up yesterday, and then somebody is praising you now today and saying, wow, mashallah, you're a wonderful guy. And so you gave a presentation today online to us and lectured to us online today. It was wonderful, and all these things. Yeah. If they tell you these things in front of 3 people that you beat up yesterday, you're gonna feel worried, and you're gonna tell that person like, I know better what I'm all about. In other words, don't say it in front of them, because you're exposing me here. Now here, this person does dua as well. It says, Allahumma la tu'akhidni bima yaqulun. Don't hold me responsible for what they're saying. Oh Allah, you know how I've messed up. You talk like this, right? You know how I've messed up. Please, like, don't hold me. Don't, like, on the day of judgment, don't be like, oh, they praised you and you didn't say anything, huh? All right, well, now's the time to show what you were really all about and punish you as well. No, don't hold me responsible. Yes, sometimes if those 3 people that you beat up yesterday, someone praises you in front of them, they'll probably like put their hands like this, they'll cross their arms, and they'll just look at you like, really? Here the Imam is like saying that these people do dua, oh Allah, don't look at me like that. Be like, really? Others are praising you, so you really think you're that type of person, a good, praiseworthy individual? La tu'akhidni bima yaqulun. Don't hold me responsible for what they say. But at the same time, وَاجْعَلْنِي أَفْضَلَ مِمَّا يَظُنُّونَ. These people have this understanding of me. They have this opinion of me. Make me better than what they think of me. Isn't that beautiful? So on the outside, yes, you're not saying, oh Allah, make sure that they do, believe that I'm this good of a person. But what you are saying is this. You're saying, oh Allah, they think of me in a special way, in a good way. Make me better than that which they think. So that's 2 things he does dua for. Number one, لا تؤاخذني بما يقولون ولا واجعلني أفضل مما يظنون واغفر لي ما لا يعلمون. At the end of the day, I'm not ma'soom, I'm not infallible. I have certain haram things that might have done in the past, certain reproachable things I've done in the past. Oh Allah, forgive that which they don't know as well. Yes, so they don't let these words that others say in their praise, they don't let these words get to them. Yes, they stay focused on the destination. Who cares what other people are saying? All that matters to me is they think I'm a good person. Make me even better than that. They don't need to know, but make me even better than that. Inshallah, brothers and sisters, tonight is the night of the 23rd, and I really urge the brothers and sisters to take tonight much more serious than the past 2 nights of Qadr, because our ulama, our scholars, just today I was reading something from Ayatul Bahjat, they really are inclined to the fact that, to this notion of the 23rd being the night of Qadr. So inshallah, you keep all of us in your du'as. You keep humanity in your du'as. You keep the Muslims in your du'as. You keep the people who were affected by the massacre yesterday, 3 days ago in Afghanistan. You keep them in your du'as. Iraq, Kashmir, yes, all of these places, Palestine, and other places that I might have forgotten. All of these places, keep them in your du'as. Ask for the return of the Imam. Ask for the eradication of this virus and things going back to normal again. Of course, with changes being made in these governments and people not thinking of their interests first and then the interests of the wider public and the people. Inshallah, do dua for all these good things, for ilm, for hilm, and for all of that. And also keep the brothers and sisters that run this whole thing in your du'as, that run the center in your du'as. Keep me also in the end, keep me also somewhere in that list as well, inshallah. With that, we will wrap up. Nas'alukum ad-du'a. Keep us in your du'as. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.